Hey Techno Studs, let's continue this discussion and figure out the other way of connecting our layer 3 switch to our router. So last video that we did a routed port on the layer 3 switch. Now instead, let's create a SVI and connect it to the switch and see what that looks like. So for this, we're going to set up our router the same way. It's going to be just a standard routed port on the router, and we're not going to do anything special with that. And then for the layer 3 switch, what we're going to do is we're going to set up another switch virtual interface on another VLAN, and then we are going to then create a connection into that VLAN via one of the ports for the router. So let's do that. So really the configuration of the router is exactly the same in both these scenarios. And in my last video, I showed you how to set up the router, so I'm not going to recover it. Although I will show you just the configuration really quickly because it doesn't take that long. So I'm going to do a show run interface FA, and that is on our 01 port. And take a look at that. We can see that I have the IP address, and this is just a standard a connection on a router. So that's good to go. All right, next, how do we configure the switch part of this? So I'm going to jump over to the switch now, and we're going to configure the switch. Now, the switch is going to be an SVI, so we need a VLAN that we're going to have this switch virtual interface on. So the first step here is to create a VLAN for that. So I'm going to get into the global configuration mode. I'm going to create we'll call this VLAN 9, get into VLAN 9. I'm going to name it, and we'll just call it router. We'll keep it simple for now. So I'm named it router. I'm going to exit out of this. Next, I need to get into the switch virtual interface. So I'm going to jump into that. So interface VLAN 9, that's the switch virtual interface. We're going to give it an IP address, and the IP address is going to be 10.240.0.1, and it's a /30. So let's do a 255.255.252. We'll enter that into there. Okay, so now that VLAN has an IP address associated with it, I'm going to next get into the interface of that's connected to the router. So I'm going to do interface FA1047. That's the interface to that router. Switch port. And I'm going to turn this into an access. It's not a trunk line. We're not setting up a trunk line between these two devices. So switch port mode access. So I'll do switch port mode access and turn it into access port, switch port, access, VLAN, and it's going to be that VLAN 9. So now it's assigned to it. All right, now we have connectivity through the SVI to the router. So we should be able to ping between those two devices. Let's jump in and see if we can ping. So I'm going to end through here, and I'm going to ping 10.240.0.2. And I'll try to ping that, and we'll see if there's connectivity, and we have success. So we can ping between the devices. Now, if I were to bring up a command prompt, I would still be able to ping 10.240.0.1. I'd be able to ping that because that is, these devices are all connected together. But one thing I would not be able to ping is the router from this device. And the reason is because this device knows how to get to its default gateway, which is on the switch, and the switch knows how to get to the router, but the router doesn't know how to get to anywhere but that local area connection. So in a later module, we'll actually talk more about routing and how routing works. But for now, just realize to connect these devices, we will have to establish some sort of connection between these two devices. We've made it happen. I can show you that it's pinged. So we are good to go. We're connected, and now we are ready to progress